Good Tuesday morning, everybody. How you doing? I'm Tony Sweet. I'm the founder and CEO of Parapod, Podcast Awards, and Earthly Beings Foundation, and also host of Truth Be Told, a podcast that's been going on for quite a while now. But I'm excited to be here today, and I wanted to bring on it's our special guest today. There he is.
Hello, everybody.
Well,
Thank you for
I
having
don't want to keep everybody. So now you go by Dima, right?
Yes, correct.
So can you tell everybody so that's going to be on live and also watch later? Um, you originally created Spreaker, and now you've created Pod SEO. And what I found out about Pod SEO before I even knew who you were, um, I thought this was just a genius creation for people like myself, podcasters that um, usually have to go to multiple different outlets to find this information. And most people give up because they don't want to go and have to look so many different places to figure out what's going on behind the scenes, such as analytics and other outlets. So, can you tell us what Pod SEO is and how it's going to contribute to our winners for this year with Parapod Podcast Awards?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I think it's a great fit for this specific, let's say, area or category of podcasts because we have seen some real case examples of listeners' growth using Pod SEO. But let's start with Pod SEO, what it is Pod SEO. So, after, as you said, after having created Spreaker and having worked on the podcast industry over the last 15 years or so, I sat together with the former CEO of Spreaker. I was the COO. And we said, hey, what's one of the biggest problems in podcasting today? Discoverability. So we decided to create a tool to help podcaster solve the problem of discoverability. And let me also explain why discoverability is still today a problem in podcasting. Uh, I think that most derives from the fact that the applications that are used to consume podcasts, and the two most used, we all know, they are Apple Podcasts and Spotify, were originally created to consume music and not exactly spoken word.
Right.
So let's say Apple Podcast is a spin-off of iTunes, and iTunes was created primarily to enable you to find your MP3s back in the days. And Spotify is still the go-to application if you want to listen to music.
Right.
Amazon Music, YouTube Music, they all have music in the title. So they were designed to consume music. So they are great if you're searching for Michael Jackson. They are great if you're searching for Bad, the album. And they are great if you're searching for Smooth Criminal, but they are not that great at letting you find podcasts because podcasts have different dynamics. First of all, the host of the podcast is not necessarily a celebrity. There's not a lot of Michael Jacksons, right, in the
Right.
podcasting space.
Right.
There are a few, and doesn't not even mean that they are found because I mean we all know the podcast of Prince Harry. Even though he was a celebrity, it was not that difficult, that easy to grow.
Right.
The title of the podcast is not as known as as a music album where you would listen to the songs on the radio or it's promoted on TV, etc. It's a different dynamic, and but there's a parallelism between music and podcast when it comes to the search engines, because the search engine still behaves as if they were to let you consume music. So they're great if you know the title by heart. They are great if you know the author by heart. You find the podcast right away. I mean, there's no ambiguity there.
Right. True.
Picture this: you're a friend, you're at a dinner with a friend, and you want to recommend this friend a podcast, a great podcast that you listen to. First of all, it's not necessarily the truth that you know the podcast by heart. You probably know the subject, or you might know the author, and you can also tell the author. But what are the chances that this person would go back home and remember the title and the author? They would probably search for the subject, the topic that the podcast is about.
Hmm.
So this is
Mhm.
where pod SEO comes into place, because it helps you define tricks. Let's say that you've used some tricks in order to rank for the keywords that the audience is likely to search for.
Right,
So you have
right.
to make sure that if someone is searching for a topic, you are one of the top results. And top results means one of the first 4 or 5 results. Because if you're the 6th or 7th result, it's like being on page 2 of Google. Not a lot of people are scrolling down to the last results of the search. So this is one of the problems that Pod SEO tackles and helps you improve, let's say, with your setup.
Let me ask you this, and this is one thing I noticed, and personally I noticed throughout the 18 years I've been podcasting, um,
A veteran.
uh, that yeah, as we've gotten more popular and analytics have changed and algorithms have, improved. Is there really such a thing as called shadow banning? Because I've heard this many times from people and saying, "Oh, I got shadow banned," and sometimes I've even like, "Did I get shadow banned because numbers drop?" That's just a we're like a roller coaster. Podcasts are like a roller coaster. But is there such a thing called shadow banning? And if so, how does one even deal with that?
So first of all, not officially, let's say.
The quote quote.
So code shadow there might be, or let's say the algorithms that are behind the podcast visibility are not disclosed. So we see a lot of correlation between the podcast results and some of the signals that the listening application use.
Right.
For example, the if you're listening to a podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, they know how many people are tuning in. They know
Right.
where they are tuning in. They know also what other podcasts they are listening to. They tend to favor content that is more recent rather than content that is older. So
Right.
if you're on hiatus, you might think you're being shadow banned, but it's not the true. I mean, this is simply as algorithm would work. There are some rumors about some of those applications. I won't name one, but they tend to do tricks both on the charts and on what the podcasts are set in relevance that are not necessarily related to a particular spike in the listens or a particular spike in the engagement of the users, like the reviews that they leave
Right.
or something like that. But those are rumors. As I said, officially speaking, there's no such thing as shadow banning. There is proper banning, obviously, if you don't
Right. Right.
comply with terms and condition of the platforms.
Perfect. Yeah, that kind of answers that. And again, quote quote unofficially, we, possibility, but we don't know officially unless we have it straight from their mouths. Um, so with Pod SEO, can you give us the top 5 things that you guys offer on your platform that, like I said before, I would have to go to multiple platforms to achieve this? Because you gave me a run through, and there are so much amazing tools to be used on your platform. But could you just give me the top 5 so people can really understand what your platform does?
I would have to do a selection, let's say, of the
I
features
know
because
it's
there's
like your
so many.
favorite child.
Yeah, well, there are definitely more than 5. So
Oh,
if I
there's
will
more than
name
5. You can go through them all if you want, but
no. I mean, I don't even want to have your audience being
I know we
bored.
like. There's so much.
Definitely, one of the things that our platform helps is the design of the title and the author of the podcast in a way, first of all, not to disrupt your brand equity that you have already created, your
Mhm.
podcast. So your title is not going to be completely changed. It's more a question of adding a tagline and rotating this tagline to attract as many listeners as possible. And the same is for the author tag. So we would analyze your podcast and give you those suggestions. And those suggestions are not based on guessing, let's say, but they are based on a certain change in mentality that we're trying to suggest to the podcaster in a way that they are thinking about their content in a more marketing oriented way. And this marketing oriented way goes through rethinking of what your positioning strategy is. So, analyzing precisely what the subject of your podcast is, what your ideal audience looks like. So, you identify the user persona that would be interested in your content. What is the listening context that where you imagine your ideal listener to tune in, because this influences also when it's best to publish an episode depending on the type of content that you do. It lets you sit down and think about the style of your content. So what is the form? Is it an interview based podcast? Is it a narrative? Is it a documentary or anything like that? And what is the value that your podcast brings to the listeners, and what is the thing that makes your content unique, let's say. So given all this information, this is crunched together with the definition of who are your competitors. We are helping you wrapping your competitors, and all this is crunched by our tool, and we are giving you actionable things to be done in your hosting platform to improve your title, your description, your author, even your cover art to be more relevant in the searches. This is, let's say, the initial feature that made us develop Pod SEO. But then we expanded it. So, number one, this is the first thing.
That's crazy. You're like, that's number one? Yes, that's number one.
Yeah, that's probably not even the most important. Probably today there are some that are equally important. Another one that I would say is the number two is the thing that, as far as I know, we are doing that nobody else is doing. We give you visibility on how AI perceives your content. First of all, we are tracking what AI recommends over something like 900 topics per podcast. We are asking AI every day to the biggest four AI engines that are ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and Gemini. Can you recommend me a list of the best podcasts for XYZ? And not only that, but we are also asking those assistants to tell us where did they source these recommendations, so that we're able also to know what influences the AI recommendation. So you are able to track how your podcast looks like in AI terms, let's say, because let's face it, it's 2026. Everybody's probably firing up one AI assistance on their for
Never.
yeah, exactly. And you can track how your podcast is recommended, if and how it is recommended by any of the engines. And you can also ask through our tool what the AI engines know about your podcast, and you can track how it changes over time, if what you're doing has an effect or not. And the thing that this is, to me, particularly important in 2026. It's something that you have to cover, no matter if you decide to use a tool like ours that makes it easy, or if you're doing it by yourself, interrogating the assistants every day. Do it if you want to know what happens behind the scenes in the AI world. And we came up with some suggestions on how to rank better in the AI replies. And we found out that the most effective way to influence AI is by being present into the editorial curated stuff. And by stuff, I mean, of course, the editorial curated content on Apple and Spotify, but this is not the first source. The first source are the listicles. There's a website that is very prominent in the AI replies for the sources that is called FeedSpot. So if you manage to go there, you have a higher chance that not being there, definitely, to be recommended by AI. But not only that, all the Newsletters that talk about podcast are taken into consideration by AI on whether or not to recommend a certain podcast,
Mhm.
and so on. And in order to help you following this route, we have developed what I would say is the third feature, that is the PR and media coverage feature. It's a sort of Kanban that helps you follow all the submissions to the possible outlets that might consider your content for recommendation. We are maintaining a list of the possible outlets, and Parapod is one of them, for instance.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Yeah, well, good one. And it's, I mean, it would be a miss if we didn't have it. And but there are others, and we recommend to go through this list and submit your content if the list is relevant to your content. There are some that are quite specific, like the some that are only for Spanish spoken
Mhm.
podcast. And if you don't have a Spanish spoken a podcast that is Spanish, doesn't make any sense to send me there. But all the ones that are relevant, we recommend to try and get featured, because this is one of the things that increases the chances of being recommended by AI and gives you visibility overall. So it's definitely one of the things that I would consider when it comes to the things that you have to do. And then another feature that has been released very recently is the possibility of automating the social media posting of clips extracted from your episodes. Because again, it's 2026, you have to cover social media. And all the social
Yes.
media tends to be triggered by a certain consistency. And one of the things that kills the consistency is the friction for creating videos, creating content to be released on social media. So we are trying to lower this barrier to the minimum with a autopilot that creates automatically for you, extracts from your released episodes and automatically post them into social media.
That's
So
perfect.
you know that Instagram, TikTok, you name it, whatever media you have in mind, they tend to be they tend to promote better creators that are consistent, that public episodes or public clips on a
Right.
regular basis. If you do it from time to time, you're
Yeah.
probably going to be under the carpet for some reason.
Right.
So, and if you have a tool that does it for you, it's much better than not having someone that not publishing at all. So this, in my opinion, would be one of the best thing that you can benefit from trying Pod SEO, because this helps you enormously into your podcasting journey, let's say. But I don't want to get your audience bored. If
I
you
don't think most of the people on here are probably podcasters. So if they're bored, then they're missing out on a great opportunity to understand how to improve. Because someone who started back in 2008, where we had to create RSS feed for each individual podcast in 2008 and have to submit it to Apple, this type of platform just takes a big relief off of who we are. Somebody says they actually use Pod SEO in the chat. Um, so it sounds like that you already have somebody that is part of your family. But
yeah,
um,
here.
but
Well, you asked me for five. I just mentioned
I was
because
going to say you only give a few. So let's go a few more.
yeah, no, I just want to mention one other thing that to me is very important. And she has a name. It's a she, even though it's an AI based thing. It's Lucia or Lucia, because I'm Italian, as you can probably tell from the accent, and I tend to pronounce names the Italian way. That's the AI assistant within Pod SEO. And most people are underusing it, in my opinion, because they are using it as one of those regular bots that you ask for help about the product. But this can do much more than that, because it's like having an AI assistant that is already trained with your content, already trained with your context, and someone that has all the best practices for podcast visibility and discoverability. So instead of asking ChatGPT, that is one of the things that is widely used even by podcasters today, can you help me creating a title for this episode that talks about it, X, Y, and Z? Ask Lucia instead, because she already has the context. She knows the previous episodes. She knows who your competitors are.
Yeah.
So it's much more efficient, not only efficient, but also easier to ask her rather than having to create a context each time you want to ask ChatGPT, for instance. Then there's many other features. I want to mention it if you don't mind. There's the AI producer. If I ever want to start a podcast, I would definitely rely a lot to the AI producer stuff, because the AI producer, pretty much like Lucia, it's already trained with all of your content, with all your positioning strategy, with whatever are your episodes, with all the things that you have done, and it's able to suggest you new topics to cover based on what's trending in your niche. So we are unleashing a lot of AI assistants when we are crunching the data in order to suggest new content. So scraping the web for what's trending in your niche, looking at what your competitors are releasing, and what's talked about today, and what you have already covered, and we identify gaps that you want to either fill or at least be aware of when you are designing new episodes. And it's also finding new keywords that you might want to experiment with, a lot of things. So
Yeah.
give it a try.
But if you need assistance to really understand, how does people, do you have that type of capability to kind of show people how to use your platform?
Well, normally I tend to give a demo of the product each time we onboard. There's someone that wants to be onboarded, but, and trust me, if you ask Lucia, you get a lot of answers to your question. That's why I wanted to isolate it as one of the features. Because
Yeah.
asking Lucia is trained not only with how PodSEO works, but also on what you have to do with PodSEO in order to improve your content. So there's definitely an onboarding phase that can be normally it's a half an hour call with me, but you can definitely do it yourself, asking Lucia. If you don't want to book a slot on my calendar, might be 3 weeks away. So it's as easy as this. We have a free tier. I mean, people can try and see and get the temperature of the water for free. Obviously, it's limited as all the free tiers did there, but it's workable. It's already giving you the sense of where you can go if you are serious and want to try a marketing approach to promote your podcast.
Perfect. And so make Lucia your friend, your best friend.
Yeah, well, and obviously, I mean, there are some problems related to how to use the product. We also have an help center, and
Yeah.
there's the possibility of getting in touch with the support team.
I've used the platform. Like I said, you gave me a great run through. I mean, it's very user friendly. You just really have a lot of options. So go in, take your time, just enjoy learning about your podcast. Because I think a lot of people they get in the studio, they record, they do distribution, and that's about it, and hoping they get the numbers. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and that's why I think somebody like you can go in and say, oh, this is my competitor, this is where I'm missing some keywords, maybe I'm titling it wrong, and you guys have done the work. So it's a great opportunity to really grow your podcast and have somebody like PodSEO contribute to that growth. So for our winners of this year, Parapod Podcast Awards 2026, could you tell us the offer that you gave? And I'm sure they're going to appreciate.
Yeah,
Uh,
we are giving 1 year free of Pod SEO to the winners of each of the categories of the Parapod festival. So they have like 1 year that they can use the platform, they can see their podcast growth. And to be honest, I feel a little bit guilty because I'm sure that if they try it for 1 year, they will stay customer forever. So I'm pretty sure. But it's
I'm a
a good
customer. I've
thing.
been a customer for a long time before you even offered. And I not only do my podcast, I produce other people's podcasts, and I just upgraded to cover majority of my clients. So that's how much I believe in it.
Yeah. And let me mention also another aspect that because you started the conversation with asking me about the shadow banning. So this relates somehow to some pitfalls that I've seen very often. People tend to fall into. One of those is, for instance, if you split your audience into different buckets, and this means that you have submitted the same RSS feed to either Apple or Spotify multiple times.
Mm.
I've seen a lot of people realizing that they had this problem only once they have logged into PodSEO and imported their podcast. Because this is one of the things that we are doing. As soon as you land there, we analyze your RSS feed, your distribution, where your podcast is found on websites that talk about podcasts, etc., and we give you a recommendation on how to improve that.
Mm.
One of the things that kills the platform sensitivity to content, if you're splitting the engagement into several buckets, if you're submitting twice, 3 times, 4 times, I've seen even 10 different
Oh my gosh.
IDs. It means that each time someone is leaving a recommendation, leaving a score to ID 1 and another one leaving at 2, etc., it splits in 10. So the signal is divided in 10, and there's no way you can be considered for being uplifted in the ranks, for instance,
Mm.
or even the searches are influenced by how many people are listening to your content. So it kills visibility, really.
Wow.
One of the possibility of the rumors around shadow banning is as simple as there are some people that are doing some mistakes in the distribution. The other pitfall that people tend to fall into is when they do not put the due attention when they are switching hosting platform. The redirect, everything, the import of the episode in the new platform, everything should be done with a certain sequence. If you screw up the sequence, you're killing your audience.
Wow.
So it might be that all the rumors about shadow banning are triggered by these type of behaviors.
If we could just bottle your brain up and I think we'd sell those too. That's a lot of information. A lot of information that is.
Apologies in advance because I tend to be a lot nerd because I'm an engineer, and as in my professional career, I started as an engineer, and everything that we do tend to be overwhelming. Also because, as you said, it's overwhelming because we are approaching it the technical way, and we have and it's one of our let's say, yeah, it's something that we're not great at, is being able to put ourselves in the shoes of someone that is not necessarily technical. Trust me, it's something that we're working on. We're trying to ease the use of the platform as much as possible. But I know that we have this bias, but we are also here to try and solve it and help people to understand how it works.
Like you said, it's easy to use. It's just there's so many things that you have to choose from. But if people just take the time, I guess it's one of those things. It's like looking at a test. when you first get the paper and you're like, oh my gosh. But if you start reading number one, then you're like, oh, okay, I understand it. It's very usable and very user friendly, but it's just one of those things where it's just take your time. Like me, I've been doing this 18 years. I just sit down. I took a day. I sit down and I just went through everything, and I'm like, oh my god, this feature is amazing. Almost every feature that you have on your platform is going to help my podcast. It's going to grow my podcast. Even the PR, it gives me opportunities like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that person, or I didn't think about that outlet, or I didn't think about that award show. So you guys, like I said, you guys did the work for us. So we appreciate you doing this for us. That's it. To me, it's just amazing. So,
Yeah.
and we appreciate you offering that to our winners this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to have the winners coming into the platform. And as I always say, whenever you have a feedback, leave a comment on our contact form, send an email to info@podseo.com. Everything helps us into improving the platform because we've been working for podcasters over the last 18 years. Oh my God. This means
Oh,
that
same as me, but
I'm not
I've been
testing.
working more for myself on my podcast. So thank you for working for podcasters.
Yeah, well, whenever someone asks me, "What do you do for a living? What's your job?" I tend to answer, "I help people do podcasts." That's what I'm doing because this is what I've been doing over the last 18 years.
Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that, Dima. Well, thank you, everybody. So go to podseo.com, check it out. You can join for free, limited time. But if you guys that are wanting to submit for Parapod Podcast Awards this year, submit. If you win, you're going to get 1 year free. They're going to offer that for our winners. So this is an exciting addition to the Parapod Awards, and we hope it's a long relationship. And if you have any questions, reach out to me, and I can tell you my opportunity. I've worked on the platform, but if not, you can set up a calendar with Dima, or work with Lucia.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you, Dima. I appreciate you for taking the time. I was going to say this morning, but this evening, where you're at.
So afternoon, late afternoon.
Yes, right. All right. Well, we're going to share this and make sure you guys have this opportunity to see what that Dima and his amazing platform does. But until next time, we'll see you. Submit. We only have a little over a month left. So, but take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.